You're listening to The Globalist, first broadcast on the 30th of November on Monocle 24. The Globalist, in association with GE, Imagination at Work. Hello from Midori House in London. This is The Globalist on Monocle 24 with me, Amy Gutman, and Hugo McDonald. If you've ever found your workload slightly overwhelming, either at home or the office, or maybe both, yet your to-do list seems to grow ever longer, you're not alone. Hundreds of busy people will take a break for some 8 hours today to attend a conference in London called Getting Things Done. The idea was conceived in the States, but workshops are now held worldwide in order to help people who move fast move even faster. Todd Brown is one of the organizers and joins us now in the studio to help Hugo and I get a grip on our overflowing inboxes and weighty workloads. Welcome, Todd.
Good morning.
So I guess the first question is, if people are so busy, how can they take an entire day off to attend this?
And it's a great question. And frankly, any seminar that focuses on personal productivity that isn't a good return on your time is a waste of time. So it's a question that we are very careful that people can answer positively. I suppose at the end of the day, what we're looking at is how do we help people get things done, get more done in sustainable ways. So they will change the way that they work. They'll change the way that they think about their work. And what that'll mean is that after today, they'll be moving even faster than they are.
Todd, is it, I mean, you picked up on that a little bit there, but is it a state of mind that we need to be sorting out rather than, I mean, how many people that you come across actually have physically too much to do that they can't get it done?
I think it's a great point. You know, so many people think productivity at the end of the day is the end goal. It's not really. What we're about is, yes, getting more done, but we're trying to do that in ways that help people to maintain clear mental space, because ultimately getting more done is important only if we're getting the right things done. And if we're in a state, in a mental state where our mind is cluttered with the hundreds and thousands of things that we could be doing, we're not getting the kind of perspective that we need to make long-term decisions that are really the right decisions. So yeah, ultimately we will get more done, but we'll do so, with a clear head.
So how do you do that if you have competing deadlines for things? So, I mean, obviously, most people know that it's a case of prioritizing, but let's say you've got 3 rolling deadlines that, or not rolling even, three deadlines to contend with, all of which are very important. How do you clear your head of all this pressure so that you can hone in on one of them and start getting things done?
Well, I think you've just said it. One of the great things that people can do is get things off of their minds. And a very practical thing that we coach people to do is literally sit down with some paper and write down absolutely everything that's on your mind. Everything. Big, small, personal, professional. I need cat food. I want to move to Spain. Anything that they've got in their minds. That all by itself creates a bit of clear mental space, okay? But what that also will help you to do is to generate the psychological state to be able to make better choices, make better prioritization choices about what you focus your time on.
Okay, so we asked a few people we know to sort of contribute questions, burning questions about how to manage their time better and how to move faster. And I want to throw a few at you. Everyone sort of laments the virtual world encroaching on our day. Even though we love it, I know for me as a research tool, I can't imagine what life was like before, but I don't like to. But meantime, the inboxes are groaning. So how do you deal with 200 emails in a day and still actually get something done?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say it's a rare occurrence, but we hear this all the time. Some people the presenting issue, as it were, for a lot of our clients is they have these email inboxes that are just incredibly full. We can deal with that in a number of different ways. I mean, one thing in particular that we look at is honing people's executive decision making. That is, most people's inboxes, if you looked at them and you sort of went through them email by email, what you'd find out is that it's really a huge collection of unmade decisions. Some of the stuff in there is going to be relevant, it's going to be actionable, and there needs to be something done about it. There'll be a lot of information in there that's reference material. It's basically just being held on to in case it's needed in the future. And there's going to be a whole lot of junk, stuff that should have been deleted long ago. So we work with people to help them, as I say, to hone those decision-making skills. What is this email? What does it mean to me? What do I need to do about it? And then, and this is also critical, the rest of their organizational system, we use the term a trusted system. We create a trusted organizational system for people. It has to have a place where all those things then go. If an email is reference, where does it go? If an email implies an action, okay, the next action on this email is a phone call. Where does that go? So once you've got to the point where you're making those decisions better and faster, and your system has a place for everything to go, then over time your email inbox goes to zero. And when I say zero, I don't just mean no unread. I mean nothing in it. And for most people, the last time they saw that was the first day on the job.
God, exactly. So it's really just about creating a very good filing system within your emails, but not just chucking things in, actually responding and actioning things and then filing them away or deleting them. It sounds like. Now, what about, this is a problem that we face on this show, but other people face it too. What about when you're working to a daily deadline, but you still need to manage longer term planning? How do you juggle all of that?
Yeah, balancing the urgent with the important, right? The longer term important. I think for most people, part of the problem is that daily life is so full of distractions for us. It's so easy to be, what we call interrupt driven. That is driven by what's arriving, right? Sometimes I talk to people, I'll run a seminar and I'll say, okay, hands up. Everyone in the room who's ever spent a day, the entire day, just reacting to email. And, more than half in most cases will go up.
It's such a time killer.
It is. And then another great question is, okay, at the end of that day that you were just responding to email, did you have a sense of genuine satisfaction that you'd achieved a lot and you'd focused on the right things? Probably not. And the reason is because in that instance, what you've done is you've focused on the urgent. It was just the stuff that arrived most recently. We say being driven by latest and loudest. It's what an awful lot of people spend their day doing. So the cure for that is, let's be clear, not just what's dropping into my inbox, because that's easy. I can see that. Let's also be clear, what am I trying to make happen, let's say a year from now, 3 to 5 years from now? Let's just be clear on those things. Not that I need to look at my, strategic long-term goals every time I pick up the phone. But if I'm aware of those things, there's a better chance that I'll make good choices day to day about where to focus my time. In other words, I'll make more time for the things that will move my strategic goals forward.
Can I pick up on that? Because it's not too dissimilar from something that keeps me awake at night at the moment. It's so pathetic. But I have 9 nephews and nieces who are all between the age of 10 and 1. And it just panics me that I have to do their Christmas shopping before the end of next week. Trying to think what to buy, where to go, how to figure time in to actually go and buy it even, and then send it is probably the most Herculean thing I've had to do all year. Can you do it for me?
That's what personal shoppers are for.
No, what I really wanted to pinpoint is the fact that this is seemingly quite a small and very inconsequential anxiety, and yet it's something that has really built up in my mind. I'm so much better at dealing with the day-to-day and dealing with, the endless inbox and things, but throw something like that into my week and it just, I'm not...
Well, okay, so let's see if we can get you moving on it so that it doesn't get to the point where it's now the 23rd or the 24th. Exactly. and you're
paralyzed
down to the shops that are still open. Okay, so one very practical thing, just hearing you describe it, one of the things that I'm wondering is whether you're looking at it as this monolithic, huge thing that needs doing, right?
Yeah,
I
am.
Okay, well, one thing you might want to consider is, let's break that down. There are 9 individuals, right? I'm assuming you can't buy the same thing for each one. Is that fair?
If only.
Exactly. Life would be much easier if I could, but no, sadly I can't.
So what you don't actually have one project. You've got 9 little projects, okay? So one thing I'd say is let's break it down and let's make each one a manageable chunk. Now the other thing, and another very practical thing you can do, is identify for each one of those children, for each one of your nieces and nephews, what is the very next action that you're going to take to move that forward? In other words, the gift for, let's have a niece's name, just one of them.
Antonia.
Okay, so for Antonia's gift, what's the very next thing? If we said to you, thank you for being here today, Hugo, we're done. We watch you walk out the studio. What would we see you do next? The very next thing to move that gift forward?
I could go to the shop, I suppose.
Okay, do you have a sense?
I could think about her and think about what she might like. But then instantly I would be back and tell, do you know what, actually, that can wait till the end of the day. I've got so much more to do that is more pressing.
Would it make sense, I'm just jumping in with something that I do, would it make sense for him to maybe apportion, say, 15 minutes, immediately as he leaves the studio to maybe search online or think about something for her, and then figure that he'll, I don't know, maybe apportion 3 sets of 15 minutes throughout the day for however many, 3 times 3. I mean, I don't know, sort of blocking off little chunks of time so that you don't feel like you have to spend an hour on this?
That might be the right next action, but I guess what I'm advocating is, for now, don't worry about the doing, just decide. So in other words, I'm not asking you to go do whatever it is. All I'm asking you to do is tell me what you would do next.
Make a decision. Yeah. I mean, this is interesting because it does come back to what you were saying at the start about it's making decisions and spotting the fact that all of these things are unmade decisions that get on top of people, and honing in on the ones that are important to make and then clearing it.
I want to just ask you, do you think a lot of the problems we have in getting things done nowadays is really the root cause could be called the internet? Because it's so easy to just, go and fact find something pops into your head, or, this interruption factor that you talk about, where you just waste so much time surfing the net. It could be on legitimate things, but things that really divert your attention from the tasks at hand.
I think that's absolutely right. I think, distraction on the internet is so rife, and it's so easy to click on a link. And if you're at all either someone who's, sort of I call myself a bright bauble baby. So what that means, if something visual, interesting, comes into my field of vision, I'm off. I'm there. So on the web, it's a great danger for me as well. And I think one of the things that'll help to deal with that is keep in mind, what am I trying to accomplish right now? Try to keep that in mind. I'm not saying it's going to be 100% that you'll always be able to maintain that thought, but if you before you open the browser, before you do whatever it is you're going to do on the web, have in mind what your end goal is. That can really help. Otherwise, you end up 5, 10, 15 minutes later. My wife calls this wilfing. What was I looking for?
I like that. Yeah, I think we'll be adopting that phrase here. Todd Brown from Getting Things Done, thank you very much. We're going to try to get some things done. You're listening to The Globalist here on Monocle 24.